Since the Sandman streamed on Netflix, a whole new generation has come face to face with the Corinthian. Originally introduced in issue 10 of the Sandman comic, the Corinthian is a nightmare made flesh, a serial killer with teeth for eyes. He's also, as actor Boyd Holbrook makes clear on screen, extremely cool and charismatic. All of that together has made him a fan favorite both then and now. The Corinthian is generally an impeccable dresser and will often wear only white clothing, but his most notable physical feature is his lack of eyes. In their place in each eye socket, he has 2 rows of small teeth like tiny mouths, which he often hides with sunglasses. With this panel, you can notice that the stems of the speech bubbles are pointing in 2 different directions. When characters have 2 sentences separated by a pause in a comic, they're normally in discrete speech bubbles but still very much attached to each other. Here we've actually got 2 entirely separate speech bubbles for the same character. They're also coming from different directions. It's actually quite disturbing. The Corinthian is speaking with his eyes in this panel. The eyes traditionally symbolize perception, understanding, and awareness, while teeth are associated with consumption and aggression. The terrifying image of eyes replaced by teeth serves as a powerful metaphor for a destructive form of perception, where understanding is not achieved through empathy and learning, but rather through violent, selfish consumption and self-serving actions. Corinthian symbolizes the fear of losing sight, of being blind to one's environment and the reality within. But these eyes, terrible as they are, do more than merely inspire fear. They also consume the eyes of his victims. This act is a metaphor for acquiring their perspective, embodying the extreme fear of having one's personal point of view and individuality violently taken. The Corinthian is a fascinating exploration of the dark, uncontrolled primitive instincts of our subconscious minds. He's a nightmare, and his original primary purpose is to embody the terror that keeps us awake at night. But what makes him a truly compelling character is not just his outward appearance, but his evolution throughout the series, which overflows with Gaiman's nuanced exploration of good, evil, and the complexities within. In terms of the plot, the character of the Corinthian may not command our attention frequently, especially in the comics. However, one key moment stands out. After a painstaking search, Morpheus eventually finds the Corinthian making his guest of honor speech at a convention for serial murderers. Dream credits the Corinthian for inspiring the modern phenomenon of serial killing, and then chastises him, not for being evil, but for demonstrating such small vision. "You were my masterpiece, or so I thought," says the Sandman, "a nightmare created to be the darkness and the fear of darkness in every human heart. But look at you, 40 years walking the earth, honing yourself, infecting others with your joy of death, and what have you given them? Nothing, just something else for people to be scared of. That's all." Dream then proceeds to uncreate his creation, until all that's left of the Corinthian is a small, toothy skull, and the Sandman promises the skull, "The next time I make you, you shall not be so flawed and petty, little Dream." Dream uncreates Corinthian out of irritation, because the Corinthian was petty. He had missed the whole point of what he was made for. He told the Corinthian that after walking the earth for 40 years, all he'd done was show humanity that this type of evil exists, a fact that people are already all too well acquainted with. Nightmares are meant to teach and challenge dreamers by bringing some conscious fears to light where they can be faced and overcome. And yet, Corinthian fell flat. He's just another thing for people to be scared of. He doesn't present people with moral dilemmas or destroys their self-confidence, tries to make them go mad with vengeance, or puts them in kill or be killed situations where the very fabric of what makes them human might be challenged. You can understand why Morpheus is disappointed. He intended the Corinthian to be more terrible than that. He was supposed to force people into horrific situations where they had to confront everything bad about themselves. Morpheus had created Corinthian as a dark mirror that would reflect humanity's darkest desires and dreams that they were too afraid to confront. The Corinthian, in short, was the manifestation of all those dark desires. His purpose was to reflect on those horrors so that humanity would keep a check on its sanity and would never cross that boundary. However, Corinthian himself didn't believe in boundaries. After centuries of inspiring mortals to dark deeds in their dreams, the Corinthian grew bored and ventured out into the waking world to enjoy the sensation of killing mortals for real. He had the sense that reality was more primal, where he could get what he wanted. That desire to escape and take something real is core to him. When he came to the human world, instead of being the mirror, he influenced people and made them addicted to the pleasure of killing people, just like he enjoyed killing people. And he would have kept the blood and mayhem going on till eternity if Morpheus hadn't stopped him. Dream's destruction of the Corinthian isn't born from malice, but rather a deep sense of disappointment and personal responsibility. The Corinthian was designed to inspire fear and to inhabit nightmares, but not to commit atrocities in the real world. His actions not only breach the boundaries between the dreaming and reality, but also represent an aberration of his intended function. As his creator, Dream holds himself accountable for the Corinthian's deviation. His decision to destroy the Corinthian serves as a profound act of taking responsibility for a creation that has strayed from its purpose. Being's destruction of the Corinthian also signifies a critique on unrestricted power and authority. Despite being an endless, Dream acknowledges that his creation has become a destructive force. This resonates with the recurring themes in the Sandman series that even the most powerful beings have ethical responsibilities, and unchecked power can lead to harmful consequences. Let's also not forget that additional insights regarding Morpheus can always be obtained by comparing him to other characters, including Corinthian. In playing house, the modern face of the Corinthian is finally revealed to us. He treats people as little more than vehicles for eyeballs, and he thrills in killing. The Corinthian's extravagant abuse of people helps call attention to the Sandman's own wrongdoings, which are less obvious, treating people as little more than vehicles for dreams. Why does Morpheus proceed to punish the collectors like he does? I don't think Sandman's avenging a slight done to him here. I lean towards the notion that Sandman takes offense at these perverse people. He's not perfect by any means, but perhaps this is one of the first inklings of the dream's journey towards self-realization. All the serial killers in this story appear to maintain really rich fantasy lives. That's why the Sandman comes in and says, "Until now, you have all sustained fantasies in which you are the maltreated heroes of your own stories, comforting daydreams in which ultimately you are shown to be in the right. No more. For all of you, the dream is over. I have taken it away. For this is my judgment on you, that you shall know at all times and forever exactly what you are, and you shall know just how little that means." In other words, he took away their illusions, so that all they are now are people who kill their fellow human beings. Dream, disappointed by his initial version that's gone rogue, destroys Corinthian for straying away from his intended purpose. However, the act of destroying the Corinthian is also tied to the themes of redemption and transformation. In obliterating the old Corinthian, Dream is essentially creating an opportunity for rebirth and change. Indeed, the Corinthian is later reimagined and reborn to serve a greater purpose than his prior destructive self. Here, Gaiman subtly explores the theme of redemption and the potential for change, even in beings as seemingly irredeemable as the Corinthian. The new Corinthian, unlike his previous version, is not just a mindless creature of terror. He begins to display a growing consciousness and wrestles with his identity. He seeks understanding, demonstrates capacity for mercy, and at times even heroism. This is best illustrated in the Kindly One's arc, where he fights against the malevolent entities and protects someone in need of protection. However, even as the Corinthian evolves, he remains unsettling and monstrous, constantly wrestling with his intrinsic nightmarish nature. This internal struggle reflects the broader theme of the Sandman series, the tension between determinism and free will. While the Corinthian was born of Dream's will and destined to be a nightmare, his evolution shows that he has the capacity for free choice and change. His evolution is a powerful commentary on the fluid nature of identity, highlighting that even constructs born of fear and terror can be more than their origins. Throughout the series, the Corinthian remains a complex and paradoxical figure. He embodies our deepest fears, yet shows a capacity for change that contradicts his monstrous nature. Gaiman uses this character to navigate profound topics such as the potential for redemption, the fluidity of identity, and the struggle between destiny and choice. Ultimately, the Corinthian does serve as a mirror to both the comic readers and the TV show fans alike, reflecting back to us the dark facets of our own human nature, as well as the potential for transformation that lies within us all. If you want more of the Corinthian, there's a fairly recent comic series called Nightmare Country, which features Corinthian once again in the real world, looking for answers. The idea of the Corinthian and the ways ideas spread and become contagious, especially dangerous ideas, is right at the core of Nightmare Country, and Nightmare Country over time shows itself to be a dark mirror to the doll's house, as the creator James Tynion said in an interview. So if you want more of your favorite character, look no further. Thank you, The Waking World, for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into the world of Sandman, be sure to check out my entire playlist dedicated to this fascinating series. You'll find more content there. If you enjoyed this video, like it. It helps the video perform better. And thank you so much for watching. This was Heads and Tails. Till next time.